Hello, everybody, and welcome to Herbal Wisdom 101, Week 3. Today is February 9th, 2023, if you can believe that. And here we are. We're going to talk about herbs. I want to remind you that if for some reason you miss a week or you have questions that you want to go back and refer to one of the previous week's sessions, you can get all of them on Crooked House Herbal's YouTube channel. And they're all there under Herbal Wisdom 101. And you can access them, you can share them. I ask that if you do go to that channel that you would like it and that you would give it a thumbs up, because that helps me. And not that I'm trying to monetize or make money off it or anything. It just helps me kind of climb up the food chain a little. So anyway, I've got some good questions tonight, and we'll wait just a couple minutes to make sure that people get on that want to be here. I hope everybody's doing well with all of the interesting weather we're having these days. Yesterday was, Tuesday and Wednesday, it rained and rained and rained here. I checked my rain gauge and I had 2.5 inches of rain in it in 2 days. And today it was sunny and beautiful. And tonight they're calling for snow. So it's anybody's guess. Not really sure what to wear these days. Just keep a jacket handy. I'm enjoying the signs of spring, though. They are here, and it's exciting. All my animals are acting springish, so it's pretty fun. I've got new baby goats, and my chickens have decided to lay eggs again, and all is well in the world. So let's go ahead and get started. I've got several questions here, and they're all really good. I really appreciate those of you that send in questions from week to week. It helps kind of steer the topic of discussion. And I think that it's good for you guys to be involved and participate in this, and not just have me sitting here talking to you. I have lots of things I could talk about. You know me, I love to talk about herbs, and there's so much to talk about. But I'd rather address your questions and your concerns and needs as they come from week to week. That's why I decided to do this in a series and not just, once or twice. So welcome, everybody. And my first question comes from a woman who says, I have bleeding gums and pain associated with that. What can I use for that? Well, that's an easy one for me, mainly because I have worked a formula up years ago that works wonderfully. But some of the herbs that will help with gum disease, everything from just minor gum irritations to periodontal type things, is oak bark. And that doesn't mean you go out and scrape the bark off your oak trees, which I guess if you wanted to get to the inner bark, you could do that. But oak bark is astringent, and it is very good for gums. The formula that I created for Crooked House Herbals is called Intense, and it contains golden seal, which is a natural antibiotic. We've talked about that. And myrrh, which is incredibly healing and also antibacterial and antifungal. Burdock root, which is an anti-inflammatory among many other things, cleanser. And licorice root, which is also in that family of healers. Echinacea, which I'm sure all of you are familiar with. Comfrey, which we've talked about previously as well, which is a cell proliferant, and it's also a great healer. Plantain, which is a toxin remover and also a good healer. Elderberry, and I also include clove in mine because clove is a natural analgesic. It's a pain reliever. In fact, it'll just, if you've got a bad toothache or if you've got something going on in your mouth, and if you've got any cloves of, any whole clove, just take one and stick it wherever it is that it's hurting and bite down on it and just leave it in your mouth for a few minutes. And pretty soon that whole side of your mouth will be numb. So it's a good numbing agent. It's also antibacterial. It's also antifungal. And I like to use clove essential oil in my diffuser in my house quite often because it does clear the air of all kinds of things that are not wanted and welcomed in your breathing space. So those are the things that I would use. Like I said, most of that is in my Intense mouthwash, and you're welcome to go to my website, crookedhouseherbals.com, and look it up. You can look up each product item by item, and it does have the product description ingredients there with each product. So you can always check and see what's in them in case you have an allergy or there's something that your body doesn't agree with that's in that particular item. But it pretty much covers all the bases. The golden seal is a natural antibiotic. It's also a good healing agent. So if you've got a chronic gum issue, that would be something I would recommend using on a regular basis. So thank you for that question. Another question that I got was, what herbal remedies should I prioritize for my first aid cabinet? Good question. This person is thinking ahead. She probably has kids or grandkids. Your medicine cabinet, in my opinion, should contain these items: plantain, calendula, arnica, burdock, cayenne pepper, some kind of a plantain spray, as well as an ointment. I would put these items in mine. In fact, this is what I have in mine. I have Deep Treat, which is a product that we make that is very good. It addresses a bruising issue immediately. So if I do this a lot. I fall down, and on the weekend I slipped. It was rainy and gross out there, and I slipped on some straw that was in my goat barn, and I fell flat down, and I banged up my leg. So when I came back in the house, I could already see where it was starting to bruise up and the blood was starting to pool. So I put the Deep Treat on it, and it immediately will just diffuse the blood pooling. Why? Because one of the main ingredients is cayenne pepper. So it will thin out that blood and diffuse that bleeding. It's also got arnica in it, and it's got some calendula and other things that will soothe and immediately just relieve the pain. So Deep Treat is a must for me. Plantain ointment and plantain spray are two other ones that I keep in my medicine cabinet at all times, because the ointment is great for some things, like areas that you can't reach with a spray, or something that you want it to stay on longer. Plantain, as we know and we've talked about, is a toxin sucker. So if you get stung by a bee or bit by something, or if you get into a patch of poison ivy or poison oak, that's where the spray comes in handy, because you don't want to put an emollient on top of a poison ivy. You want it to dry out. Also, it's really quick when you have grandkids over and they get hurt, and you can spray it real quick and it doesn't get all over everything. What else would I put in there? I would put Soother in your medicine cabinet, because Soother is the best thing for any kind of a rash or a burn. Immediately takes the pain out of a burn, any kind of a burn. It's good for eczema. It's good for psoriasis. It's got calendula in it. It's got, again, cayenne pepper. not much, just a tiny bit in that one. But really, really good for rashes. Don't Bug Me is in my medicine cabinet because that's my insect repellent. And in the summertime, that's my cologne, that's my perfume. Don't bug me, and then I get dressed. And I don't have any issues. Somebody Help Me is another cream that I make that is an anti-inflammatory. And it will take the inflammation out almost instantly of any kind of inflamed condition, you know, whatever that might be. Hands, knees, elbows, shoulders, arms. In my case, my neck sometimes. And also Restore, because Restore contains comfrey and burdock and cayenne pepper and the herbs that, you know, we've talked about comfrey and how comfrey's nickname is knit bone, and that's because it repairs cells, it proliferates cells. So if you've got torn cartilage, or you've got a broken bone, or you've got a ripped open arm, or whatever it is, a dog bit you and ripped your hand open, anything like that, you want to put Restore on it. That's got that comfrey in there, and I promise you, I'm speaking from experience, it will heal it all up. You won't have a scar. But having those things in your medicine cabinet makes it easy. You don't have to fumble and wonder where they are, or have them here or have them there. Keep them all together. And I would also keep cayenne pepper, either in the powder form or in a tincture form, some way that you can get to it quickly, in case somebody is having a heart attack, or if you've cut yourself and you're bleeding. Cayenne pepper will stop the bleeding right away. It stops a nosebleed. You know, things that you need to get, when you need to get to it quickly, you want to have it handy. I have a jar of cayenne pepper that sits on my counter, and then I also have a tincture in my medicine cabinet. So those are the things that I would use. Lavender is a good thing to have. Lavender essential oil for calming. You know, if you do have somebody that's severely injured and needs calming, lavender essential oil will take them down a couple notches almost instantly. So it might be a good thing to have too. And maybe some kava drops for the same reason. It's a mild sedative, but it's also a pain reliever. So those are things that I would keep in my medicine cabinet. What are good hair and skin herbals? Things that you can have for your skin and your hair. So I would start, if you were really trying to take care of your hair and your skin, I would have a bottle. I know it sounds funny, but I would have a bottle of apple cider vinegar, the raw apple cider vinegar with the mother, in my shower. And maybe what you could do is pour some of it out and dilute it down. But I use apple cider vinegar as a hair rinse, maybe 2 or 3 times a month. And, you know, at that time when you wash your hair and do whatever you're going to do to it, then rub apple cider vinegar through your hair and onto your scalp, and just leave it in there. Don't wash it out. You'll smell like vinegar for about 30 minutes, but then it goes away. You don't have the smell anymore, but it is very good for your scalp, and your hair likes it a lot. Depending on the condition of your hair and skin, you might want to make a strong comfrey tea and use that as a hair rinse also, because it does proliferate cells. And if you maybe are struggling with hair loss, or if you've got brittle or damaged hair, you know, get it down onto your scalp, into your hair follicles, and again, you know, use the comfrey. I sometimes, just for the health of my skin, my scalp and my hair, I will at night take Restore and rub Restore all in on my scalp and stuff. It's a cream, so it makes your hair gooey, but leave it, do it early enough so that it's soaks in before you go to bed, and then, wash your hair in the morning or whatever. Um, for your face, I use 7 Years Young, which is a product that I created years ago that is just a wonderful face food. I also use Sister Serum, which is a serum that I make that's very emollient and rich. It's got pomegranate oil, and it's got lots of really helichrysum and carrot seed and lots of really yummy oils. And it's in a little dropper bottle, and I use that 2 or 3 times a week on my skin at night. My Smoothest Silk, which is a lightweight moisturizer, is also something that is really handy, and it's really nice for your hands and feet and your elbows, and keeping moisture in your skin, and it's all natural. You want to remember that you absorb 80% more through your skin. So you need to pay attention to what you put on your skin. It's really important because it goes straight in. It'll go straight to your liver. It doesn't go into your digestive system. It doesn't go through your stomach acid. It doesn't go through any of that stuff. It goes straight in. So you don't want to put things on your skin that could be harmful to your liver. Everybody does it. But I'm telling you, spraying yourself down in the summer with DEET is probably one of the worst things you can do. It literally will create a toxic level in your body that your liver just works really hard to get past. So try to use natural things on your skin as much as you can, because that's what's going to keep it healthy. There's just 2 or 3 things that you need to feed your skin with that will create the same effect as, $200 jars of whatever. So be smart. I also use, I keep a little bottle of my thieves oil in my purse, and I use that for my hand sanitizer. If I need, if I am in a place where I feel like I need to maybe sanitize my hands for whatever reason, I use thieves oil because it is a natural barrier oil, and it also smells good, and it doesn't have any alcohol or any of those other things in it. My cuticles and my fingernails and stuff, they get really dry if I use things that have a lot of alcohol in them. So I purposely don't do that. But the thieves oil is great because it's kind of a twofer. You're cleaning your hands off, and but you're also putting that barrier oil on your hands to keep viruses and bacteria away. Try it. You'll like it. The next question, I think, is a really good question. I am wanting to boost my intake of vitamin C, but I don't want to use over-the-counter stuff like Emergency. They have so many other negative ingredients in them. I guess this person read the labels. She said that she was wanting to take in more vitamin C, so she bought a big box of Emergency, and then she read on it and she said she threw it in the trash. So I'm not going to take this stuff. So I'm going to tell you the best way for you to get the most vitamin C you will get out of anything, just about, is pine needle tea. And if you live in Arkansas or the surrounding area, the loblolly yellow pine trees are some of the best, and they're everywhere, except up here. When I moved up here, I was hard-pressed to find a pine tree. I've got lots of cedars and lots of other kinds of wonderful trees, but I kind of have to go a distance to find pine trees. I might have to actually plant a few because I don't have any on my property, which I thought was interesting. The property I had in the Hot Springs area was just, I had tons of pine trees, but that is your best bet for vitamin C and vitamin A. So for those of you that don't know how to make pine needle tea, it's very easy. You just go get some pine needles. I usually use I like a gallon-size Ziploc. Fill it full of needles. You can keep them in your refrigerator if you don't want to use them all at one time. And then you're going to take distilled water and bring it to a boil. Pull off the needles. And after the water's boiling, if you're going to use like a 2-quart pan or maybe a 3-quart saucepan or, whatever, I would use probably a third of that bag of pine needles, third of a gallon size bag. And after the water's come to a boil, put the pine needles in, put the lid on it, turn the heat off, and let it steep for several hours. Sometimes I even put mine in the refrigerator and leave it overnight. And then strain it and drink it. And you can drink it as iced tea. You can drink it hot. You can drink it cold. I usually when I do make it, I'll make a big pitcher at a time so that I can just drink it throughout the day or, during the week. It is the best source of vitamin C you can get. So I definitely recommend pine needle tea. Now, there are a few other herbs that have a fairly good amount of vitamin C in them. One of them, much to your surprise, I'm sure, is thyme. So if you are a culinary herb gardener and you've got thyme and oregano and rosemary growing out there, you've got yourself a little vitamin patch, because thyme has got a lot of vitamin C in it. Rosemary has got calcium, quite a bit of calcium, the kind that your body will assimilate and use. And thyme also has a lot of copper in it. And we talked about copper last week. So that might be something you might want to think about. And it's super easy to grow. You almost can't kill thyme. Haha. I'm killing thyme. So thyme also has the most iron. So that would be one that, more bang for your buck. Grow a little patch of thyme and some rosemary, and you've got some calcium and vitamin C and iron and what else did I say? Copper right there. And it's pretty and it smells good, and you can use it for other things. Just know that whenever you high heat cook any of these things, you're going to kill a lot of the nutrients that are there. So when you're really wanting to get the full benefit from your herbs, you don't want to cook them. You want to use them in their whole state. And if you want it for a medicinal purpose, then use, do a tincture method or something like that, or make a salad dressing, or something like that. Put it fresh in your foods, but don't cook it if you're wanting all of the vitamins and minerals. Okay, another question that came to me was interesting. This person suffers from hiccups and doesn't get them all the time, but, gets them a lot and wants to know if there's anything you can do for them. Well, hiccups stem from, an issue with your diaphragm. And sometimes this stimulating your vagus nerve will rectify it. The thing is that you have to increase the carbon dioxide level in your blood, which is why, they used to say, hold your breath. That's one way to do that. Or scare them so they go, or whatever. It's changing the CO2 level in your blood that will level it off and stop the hiccups. There's been some weird stuff. I remember when I was a kid, when I would get the hiccups, people would say, drink water backwards, from the other side of the glass, or take a tablespoon of sugar. There's just different things. And I think what it boils down to is you have to change that level, that CO2 level in your blood. So there are some fruits that will do that. Watermelon is one of them. Tangerines, citrus peel, like orange peels and that kind of thing. If you get the hiccups, chew on an orange peel. Ginger root is another one. If you've got some fresh ginger root, slice off some and chew on that. Also, you want to know that if you have chronic hiccups, like you get them a lot, they are a sign of something else. Pancreatitis, kidney and liver dysfunction, pneumonia, a lot of those different diseases are something that it all stems from changing, from that CO2 level in your blood, but all of those things contribute to that. So pay attention to it. If you get hiccups a lot, I know I get hiccups if I eat really spicy salsa, or like my not today tincture gives me the hiccups every single time, but it's only just for a few minutes. But it's because it has a lot of cayenne pepper in it, and I take it and it just makes me hiccup. I can't help it, but it stops. I don't have a chronic hiccup problem. So if you do, pay attention to that and see if you have any of those other factors, and have your blood checked every now and then, see where you're at. But changing that CO2 level, and herbally speaking, I know that Jethro Kloss, the one who wrote Back to Eden, he had a formula, he had a tincture. I think he used to call it, I can't remember what he used to call it, but it was had lobelia in it, which is the smart herb. I've talked about it in my classes before. It's a transient herb that will move herbs from one place to another, as they're needed. It has lobelia, it has skullcap, it has black cohosh, skunk cabbage, cayenne, and myrrh in this tincture formula. And that is a formula that he created that will treat chronic hiccups. So if you need to know more about that, you can always just pick up the Back to Eden book and look in it, or, probably even Google it. Google Jethro Kloss's hiccup tincture or whatever, and you can get more information if you wanted to know exactly how to do that. That would be something good to do for, it's just one of those things. It's kind of like vertigo. Not everybody gets it, but when you do get it, and if you have it a lot, then it's, it's serious. It's not you want to get rid of it. So try those things. I'll be happy to help you if you need help in creating a formula for your hiccups. I can do it for you if you need me to. Just contact me and let me know. Okay? Also, talking about thyme, did you know that is one of the herbs? You know how people always like to give you a hard time if you, eat more greens or vegetables or those kinds of things than animals, and they say, well, where are you getting your protein from? Well, thyme has a lot of protein in it. It's very high in protein, and it's also got a lot of manganese in it. It's a great little herb. Oregano's got magnesium, and rosemary's got fiber. So you could do your body good just by having those 4 or 5 little herbs growing outside your kitchen door or wherever. Just get yourself a little herb patch and include some of those things in your dietary routines, and you can increase your fiber, you can increase your calcium, you can increase your protein levels without, having to eat half a cow or whatever. Okay, some other herbs that contain vitamin C. Rose hips. Rose hips is very high in vitamin C. And they're also easy to get, after your roses lose all their petals, that little ball in the middle is the hip. So collect up some of those and dry them, and you can either make a tincture with them, or you can make them in, use them in a tea, whatever. Rose hips are very high in vitamin C. Parsley is also really high in vitamin C. Like 2 tablespoons of parsley contains 10 milligrams of vitamin C. I mean, that's pretty easy. It's also got vitamin K. It's also got other antioxidants in it. Parsley is a good thing to eat. It's not just that pretty decoration on your plate. Vitamin C is a good, we could talk for 2 hours about vitamin C all by itself. So I applaud those who are looking to put more vitamin C into their body. You're on the right track. It's a cancer fighter. It's an antioxidant. It will take care of a lot of the things that are issues for today's society. Vitamin C. What else can we talk about? Well, I was thinking about this when I was thinking about the vitamin C thing. I was thinking about the way we eat and how, not too long ago, when I was a kid, first of all, what made me start thinking about it was my own animals. And I was thinking, when I was a kid, you never heard of a dog getting cancer. I mean, we had dogs forever, and then they just died of old age. They just died because they were old. But they didn't have all these other weird issues, and they didn't get all riddled with tumors, had all these fatty tumors all over them, or all these weird little warts, and they didn't get cancer, and they didn't have, but we didn't take our dogs to the vet all the time and get them shot full of vaccines. In fact, maybe a rabies shot. We'd get a rabies shot for our dogs so that if they bit somebody, we didn't have to worry about giving them rabies, but none of that other stuff. And so I was thinking about it, and I thought, the same goes for people. Vaccinations have multiplied like 6 times from the time I was a school-age child till now. I think I got 4 vaccinations: polio, MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, and smallpox or something. 3 or 4. That was it. Do you know that now children before they're 18 will receive 60 vaccinations? 60. Can you think of one reason why we should vaccinate our kids so much? This is what I'm talking about. We need to think for ourselves. And we need to realize that we have been propagandized big time. We have been led to believe that more is better. And it really isn't. Our bodies are still our body. They're made the same way. We were created to be healthy. We were given everything we need. The problem is our diet. The food that we eat is toxic. And so that leads us down one path where you've got issues with your blood and your heart and your, blah, blah, blah. And we have complicated diets instead of simple diets. We have toxic diets instead of clean diets. And by clean, I mean eat food that you can say. My rule, and it makes it easy, is eat whatever I put in my mouth. I would like to either have been able to been picked off a tree or plucked off a bush or dug out of the dirt, like a potato or a carrot or a radish or collected like a chicken egg. But if it's got hydroxyglucose or diazo or words I can't even pronounce, that's not food. Guys, it's just not food. You need to start taking your life back, and you need to be willing, I guess we need to be willing as a society to maybe not have so many of the conveniences, maybe eat less of a variety, eat more foods that are in season. And, when you have fresh food, that means you have to prepare it. That means you have to do something with it. You can't throw it in the microwave and eat it in 10 minutes. You can't go through the drive-through and get it. You could get a salad through the drive-through, but do you have any idea what's sprayed on that thing to keep it looking fresh? I don't even want to know. A lot of times you'll get a salad because you think it's healthier, but is it? Is it really? And then the dressing that you put on it, have you read the label on that? You need to just start thinking about that. I started thinking about, like I said, in terms of my own dogs. My little dog has got little tumors all over her, and there's no reason for that. I'm giving her now black walnut tincture and sumo wrestler, and we're managing them and we're dealing with it. But I know why she has those, because she eats commercial dog food. And it's hard to find commercial dog food that doesn't have a million poisons in it. Cancer-causing agents. It's junk. And when I only had one dog, even two dogs, I would make their food myself. But now I have too many animals and I have too many other things to do, and I just can't do it. I can't do that anymore. So I'm stuck feeding my dogs. I try to find the best I can, but I know that that's one of the culprits. So if that's the case, here's a couple things that you can do to try to counteract some of it. Put apple cider vinegar in their drinking water. About a tablespoon to a gallon is all you need. But keep the apple cider vinegar in their drinking water. It will help. And I make an infused oil, garlic oil, with cloves of garlic and olive oil. And I drizzle that over their food 2 or 3 times a week. Garlic is an antibiotic, natural antibiotic, among other things. It's an anti-inflammatory. And just start doing some things for your animals like you would do for yourself that counteract some of the things that we've done to them, thinking that we're helping them. I don't vaccinate my dogs anymore. They get a rabies shot, and I do give them a heartworm thing because of where I live and they're outside. Other than that, they don't get anything else, and I won't do it. I'm not giving my dogs that stuff. And I'm sorry, I just don't believe that it's necessary. So, you need to start maybe taking a stand more. If you can't do it for yourself, do it for your animals. Start there. I know that it's hard because we've been programmed and we've been led to believe that this is what's best. And we need this and we need this and we need this. And it's even come down to the point where, you can't send your kid to school unless they've had 1,500 vaccinations. Well, I promise you, I homeschooled my kids. But if they were school aged now, they would still be homeschooled, even more than ever, because I'm not going to fill their bodies full of crap. So that's me. I'm only speaking for me. I'm not speaking for everyone else, and I'm not judging you. If you are pro-vaccinations, that's okay. But I'm just saying, consider it. When you consider the differences between the quality of life now and the way things were 50 years ago. Even the exposure to all of the radiation that we do now. Women, they march in there every year for their mammograms, and I'm not knocking mammograms. I'm just saying, every time you expose your body to that kind of stuff, where do you think that stuff goes? It's got to go somewhere, and your cells get damaged. So if you're going to, you need to think about that in terms of ramping up your antioxidants like vitamin C and vitamin A and others, so that you are counteracting the damage that's done by free radicals and by other types of heavy metal toxicity and that kind of stuff. You need to take measures to counteract what's being done to your body. And then as you see fit, eliminate things that you can't justify. Everybody's different. We all have our own, we're all at a different place, and I support you wherever you are. But I'm just saying, as for me, this is what the conclusion I came to was like, my dogs are way happier when they're not all, every time I was giving them all those little treatments, either the stuff on their back or, the flea stuff and then the heartworm stuff and then this and that and the other. My poor dogs, they were lethargic. They were throwing up. They'd have diarrhea. And I'm thinking, why am I doing this to my dog? You can deworm your animals very easy with wormwood and black walnut. Get a hold of me. I'll let you know how to do it. I make a dewormer. It's called Worm Be Gone, and that's basically what's in it. So there are everything that we face, there is a natural remedy for it. The question is, are you willing to change your direction, change your path, and do what it takes? Like drinking distilled water. Do you have any idea how many things that will help just doing that? How much your inflammation level will go down, 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 down. Just drinking distilled water. That one thing. But if you're willing to start making those incremental changes and steering yourself to a more natural lifestyle, a cleaner eating style, just less dependency on big pharma, less dependency on, how can I say this? Like programming. I guess it's what it is. Some people would call it being educated, but I think there's a fine line between being educated and being programmed, being led to believe that this is the way and the only way, because I don't think so. Excuse me. Another thing that I want you to think about too is where you get your food. If you're meat eaters, I would suggest, if it was me and I was buying a lot of meat, which I don't, but go to your local meat market or a smaller mom and pop situation and ask them, where do you get your meat? Some of them grow their own, or if they can tell you where they get it and where it's packaged and processed before it comes to them, then I would suggest that you go with them. Because here's the normal course of events. If you buy, when you buy meat from a grocery store or Walmart or whatever, that meat might be grown here in the United States somewhere. But then most of these companies are owned by China. And the meat is then taken from here, shipped to China, processed and packaged, and then shipped back. And it still says on there, raised in the USA. Well, because it came from Kansas. But then Kansas, then China took over. So you don't know what's being put in it. You don't know what's going on in China. Not to mention the fact, is that the freshest? How many days how much time goes by between the time it's butchered and the time it actually gets to the store before you even buy it? So take the time to go with smaller operations that have more control over their product. As the months progress, the farmers markets will open up again. Shop there for your produce. Eat what's in season. Don't eat all this stuff that's not seasonal, because it's got to come from somewhere else. If it's not a seasonal item, for our state or our country, and it's grown in Peru or, somewhere else, then good. My guess is it was either picked really, really green and allowed to ripen. I mean, have you ever seen the bananas in the grocery store? Come on. They're totally green. And everybody goes, oh, these are good ones because they're green. Well, green bananas are not healthy. It's not good to eat a banana until it's ripe. Most people don't know that. They just don't like it when it's soft. Well, then don't eat bananas. Not to mention the fact when they're green, they don't really have much of a taste. So educate yourself a little bit on where your food comes from. And take the time to, put that together for yourself and your family. I try not to have anything in my house that comes out of a box because right there that it's going to have a million different preservatives in it, or it wouldn't be in the box. And I know a lot of people, they can't afford, to eat fresh all the time, or maybe they just, it's a convenience thing, too tired when I get home from work. I don't want to cook, that kind of thing. I totally get it. There's been a lot of nights when I pull out my little containers of coconut milk yogurt and some raspberries, and that's what I eat for dinner because I'm too tired to do anything else. And I don't want to make a salad, or I don't want to, start from scratch with something. I get it. But as often as you can, try to eat clean and drink distilled water. Do your apple cider vinegar and honey regimen in the morning. Those simple things will make such a difference in the way you feel and the way your body operates and functions, that you will be sold. You'll be ready. You'll be ready to continue down that path. And do more for yourself. And before long, you're not going to want to go back to feeling crappy and all gummed up and heavy. People go, well, I just can't figure out why I've never heard of so many people having gastrointestinal problems. Duh. It's the way you eat. Oh no, I've got Crohn's disease or I've got, IBS and I've got that. Well, IBS wasn't even a thing hardly when I was in my 20s. In the last 40 years, people are they just own that stuff like it's normal. It isn't normal. And you can trace it back almost 100%. I would say 95% is diet. And fortunately, there are herbs that can address all of those things. I have lots of clients who have almost completely reversed, if not totally reversed, Crohn's and IBS issues, heart problems, all of those things just by changing their. I have one client who has had MS for years and years and years. You know what? She's living better now than she's ever lived, and totally nothing but dietary changes. So I'm just, I'm going to implore you to give that a shot and give it a good shot. Stick with it for a while. Be determined to take your life back. Don't succumb. Andy, no. Don't give up, because there is such a better way to live and feel good and live longer, have a better quality of life. And like I said, what really got me thinking about it was my poor animals. These guys, they depend on me for everything. And here I am giving them junk and doing things to them that making them sick. So how much more are we doing to our own bodies? And we have an amazing body. We are made. It's incredible. Our bodies are absolutely amazing. But our livers can only detoxify for so long. And they can't necessarily keep up with you constantly polluting yourself. Your filtration organs can only work so hard. And then pretty soon they're going to get tired and they're going to stop. And that's why most people, by the time they get to be middle-aged or in their 60s or whatever, they're on medications and they're sick and they're tired and they're weak and they have digestion problems and they can't do this and they can't do that. Well, that's not the way it was supposed to be. But by the time you have, polluted your bodies for as many years as you've done that, it's just, it's throwing in the towel. It's like, I can't do this anymore. Something's got to give. So fortunately, on the upside, the good news is you get new cells every 11 months. So as you start to do the right thing for your body and you start to change things, you will change the path of those cells. And so you'll get new cells, but the new cells will be regenerating on the new path. And eventually those things will get better, and those things will get better, and those things will get better. And, pretty soon you won't have the allergies you used to have. You won't have the sensitivities to this and that and the other that you used to have. You can change things. You can make a difference. You're not stuck. You're not doomed. But you have to decide that you're willing to put in the time. Hey, I said no. Sorry, I have a dog who thinks she's the boss. But you can change the course. It's not too late. And your body will respond well to your changes. Just do it and stick with it. Take one thing at a time, don't try to eat the elephant all in one day. Just say, you know what, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to tackle for the next 6 months. I'm going to do these 2 things. Make yourself out a plan. And if you need help with that, that's what I'm here for. I'll help you make your plan. I'll help you tackle. I'll help you prioritize. I'll give you direction. I'll let you know what I know. Everything I know, I'll share with you. So I would love to see people come back and go, you know what? I did this and now I'm not on these meds anymore. I'm not doing, I don't have this issue anymore with my body. My body is good. And I do have clients that have done that. They're not on medications. They're not on antidepressants. They're not on medications they've taken for 15 or 20 years and figured they would have to take them for the rest of their life. So I'm not just talking through my hat. But it's not anything I can do for you. You have to decide to do it for yourself. And I will help you however I can help you. I promise. You have my contact information. You can email me at wendy@crookedhouseherbals.com. You can message me on the Crooked House Herbals Facebook page. You can what other methods can you get a hold of me? Well, after that, if you want to have a consultation or if there's other things that you want to do, I'll give you my cell number. But that email is a good email. And, I do check my Facebook several times a day for messages. And I will help you however I can. But I really, really would love to see people break through and break free. And not just you, but, your sweet little pets and your grandkids. On that note, I want to remind you that I'm starting, I live in northern Arkansas. And if you're in this area and you're interested, especially if you're a homeschooling family, I am going to start a series of 3 homeschooling workshops. The first one will be late April, and then I'll do another one in May, and then I'll do another one in June. That are geared for. I'm writing the workbook right now, geared for homeschoolers and their families. It's got some hands-on type things, and it's an active workbook. And then we will also do hands-on creative things, applying what you've learned. And we'll do herb identification, and we'll learn how to make different tinctures and medicines. And as the months progress, we're going to even do some art with herbs. So, and I'm going to do that here on site at my place. I'm also going to be launching some online classes for those of you that are interested in learning more about what herbs can do. I've got several different topics already. I've got inflammatory diseases. I've got an introduction to herbs, which covers 15 or 20 different herbs that you will run across everywhere, that you can identify and learn how to make tinctures and learn how to make salves and oils. And I have a pain reliever first aid kit class. So what I need to know now is the interest level for the different topics, or if there's something completely different that you would like to learn about. So if you've got any of those ideas, or if any of that stuff sounds interesting to you, it's going to start towards the end of April. But if you want to send me an email at info@crookedhouseherbals.com and let me know what your interests are and whether or not you would be interested in those classes in that time frame. It would be a weekly class online, and you will register through my website, and the materials and stuff, all that information will come to you. But let me know if that's something that's interesting to you. I'm doing it online specifically because a lot of you that are interested are not in my particular area. You're kind of all over the place. I've got people in Colorado. I've got people in Arkansas. I've got people in different parts of the country. So that's why the online thing will have to be the way we'll do it this time. But it's okay. We can do it. I like doing face-to-face better. I really like face-to-face classes. But for those of you that don't know much about me, I do have a doctorate in education. I'm also a master herbalist. I have a master's degree in herbology and a master's degree in education as well. I've taught school. I was teaching herbal classes down at the college in Hot Springs before I moved up here. And I really am devoting myself to helping educate people about their options and natural approaches to wellness. So that's what I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. And if I can help you in any way, I want to help you. Also, if you know of anybody that can benefit from these weekly sessions we're doing on Facebook, don't forget they will be uploaded by the first part of the week each week onto the Crooked House Herbals YouTube channel. And so you can go back and you can share that with a friend, push like for me if you would, and subscribe to my channel. There are some other videos on there too that you might be interested in looking at. But share the news, and we will continue our discussions from week to week. Next week, we'll be back. If you've got things that come up during the week and you have questions about it, and it's something you want me to address on our Thursday nights, please message them to me, email them to me, however you want to get them to me, and or you can ask them to me live. And I will make sure I address all that stuff on Thursday. All right? Until then, I wish you all many blessings. Have a wonderful weekend. Wherever you are, hopefully you're not going to be buried in snow. But spring is coming. I'm believing that. And in the meantime, blessings to all of you. And remember that nature heals us best. Thanks. God bless.